You know what? It's that sometimes you kind of shake your head and go, how did we lose that game? Because yeah, one goal in the second half obviously wasn't good, but I thought we were pretty unlucky tonight. They played really well. They played well defensively. Nick Rose played unbelievable. We didn't shoot it great, but I don't know how many pipes we hit, but it was a lot. And that was really the game. I mean, they played well. They did enough on offense. I thought we were really good defensively. The 5-on-3 power play, we had really good looks. We had really good shots, and we just didn't put it in the net. And that's really what it came down to. We didn't play a bad game. I don't know how many shots we ended up 64 or something like that. And we played hard. We really just didn't execute our shooting, to be honest. I thought we executed our offense quite well. We got good looks, and we had transition chances we didn't score on. So we played pretty well. We just didn't finish well. Is really what it came down to. And they played hard. They played desperate. They obviously in the second half were in a position where they really, really needed to win that game, and they got the result that they needed, and we obviously didn't.
These are all professionals in here, but when you have a night like this where nothing seems to be falling, and like you said, you hit 6-7 posts over the course of the game, how do you keep that
easily
composure and that mental fortitude?
Yeah, you just keep at it. There's nobody negative in that room about that. We know what the game was about tonight. We move on. We got a Sunday game in Denver next week, and we'll be ready for that when we get a good practice in Saturday, and maybe lots of shooting practice. But we didn't shoot it poorly. We just were, like I said, Nick Rose was really good, and we hit a whole bunch of bars. I think you said 7 or 8. I counted more like 15. It was ridiculous. But that happens. You know what? We needed to hit the inside of the bar, not the outside or the middle of it. But certainly you can't complain about or compete. We didn't have Jake Boudreau tonight, which was really unfortunate due to illness. But you know what? Keegan Bell came in, played a really good game, and that's nice to have that kind of depth to get a guy come in like that. It certainly wasn't because of defense or goaltending that we didn't win that game. We just did not finish well.
When you take a look at especially the last 4 to 6 games, how do you feel the team is trending towards the playoffs now that you guys have that spot locked up on the floor and just trying to peak in time for the postseason?
I mean, I think good. We just talked about that. We need to get ourselves in a really good position when we get into the playoffs. We need to feel confident about our game, which I think we do. We've been a resilient group. I don't think we've lost 2 in a row this year. So, we'll look to bounce back next week, and going to play against another team that's going to be desperate. And as like these guys were tonight, it's a real logjam there for those playoff spots, and and another one next week with Colorado, who we kind of handed it to them last week, so they're going to be pretty bitter about that, and we'll be ready. We'll be ready to go. I think we have a pretty positive group, and they're pretty confident. We don't often have nights like that where we don't execute our shooting. We actually we didn't shoot it poorly. They just Nick was really good, and we hit a bunch of pipes, and that's the game sometimes.
You guys don't choose the schedule, but what does facing a couple of teams as desperate as they are with Calgary and Colorado do in terms of getting you guys ready?
It's good. It's really good. Yeah, I mean, it gets us playoff ready, and we'll face the same thing in our last game of the regular season with Ottawa, because they're right in the thick of it too, and they got obviously Jeff Teed, arguably the best player in the league, and a bunch of other guys around him, and they've been a lot better lately. But we'll take care of business next week, hopefully in Denver, and we'll move on to our next home game and then be ready to go on the 26th here. But there's work to be done. We're still tweaking a little bit with the right mix on offense, but I thought tonight all the guys played really well. They played really hard. We just didn't get the ball to drop for us.
A couple days ago, just announced Frank Giuliano signed a multi-year extension. Just how important was that to get him locked up in the
Well,
future of the goal here?
I think you see, how well he played tonight. I mean, when I look back at this season, he's really only had one tough night out in Halifax. We weren't very good in front of him that night, so it's big for us, and it gives us stability. It gives a really good young guy in Thomas Kaiser to learn underneath him and get him prepared for the future as well. So it gives us depth, and he's a great leader for us too. He's the first guy in that room to say, "Let's move on. We'll move on to next week and be better."